Hello internet, and today's video is going to be another book opinion, those videos in which I tell you my opinion on a book, and today's book is going to be Fledgling by Octavia E. Butler. So this is one of my childhood books. I keep it around because it is my absolutely favorite book by Octavia E. Butler. I think my second favorite is a cross between her Telepath series and Indigo, which is about aliens, and this one is about vampires. So I was looking up a bunch of tags to potentially do, and I remembered Octavia E. Butler and that I had one book of hers with me at college, and I was like, you know what you're gonna do? You're gonna reread this. So I've reread this book at least 80 times. Like, this copy is pretty beat up because I reread it so much over and over and over and over again, because when I was young I didn't have tons of books and I couldn't always be buying books, of course, and my parents couldn't, but my grandmother gave me this, and oh my gosh, do I love this book. If you're unfamiliar with Octavia E. Butler, she is a Black writer. She is a person of color, own voices writer. She focuses on sci-fi and supernatural. I believe this is her only supernatural book. She usually is in sci-fi more often than not, but this is one of my favorite books by her. So this follows a young vampire named Shori, and Shori's whole family has been annihilated, and she is the only one who happens to survive. However, she loses all of her memories on why she was being attacked, who attacked them, and everything consisting of her first 50 years of life. So she decides that the only thing that she can do is try to figure out how to be a proper vampire once again, and how to fit back into the society and regain this knowledge. Also, she wants to try to find out who are the people responsible for murdering her family. So what I love best about here is the vampire lore. This is a very new kind of vampire lore that I really enjoy. So the way that vampires work in this, they have a separate name like the Inca, but for simplicity's sake, they're vampires. So the way vampire lore works in this is a vampire will create a harem of people, at least 8 to 10 depending on how old you are and how much blood you need at any given time, and this little harem are referred to as symbiotes. Now, they give blood to the vampire, and in return the vampire, through the venom and whatever in their blood, extends the life of their symbiote. So it is this harmonious relationship between the vampire and all of their little symbiotes, and you have just little love polyamorous relationships in here with men and women, and we get to see a lot of different types, and it's just that's really great in and of itself. And I like how that sort of vampire system works. I also like the vampire culture in here because it's just a very interesting history. This girl has to relearn her history, so you get to hear a lot of vampire theories of how they believe they were created, a lot of how their culture works, where they started, where they came from. And one of the added benefits is that Shori is one of the first Black vampires. Her family, both her mother family and her father family, her mother family in particular, are great scientists, so they were trying to figure out a way that vampires could survive better in sunlight, because the way these vampires work is that they fall dead asleep during the daytime and they cannot wake up, and the sun can burn them super bad. But Shori, because she is Black and because her mothers were successful in their experimentation and she was born Black, can survive during the daytime. Although she has a slight allergy to the sun, the sun does not make her automatically fall dead to the world. So it is very interesting vampire lore, it is a very interesting story, and I love it for all of those reasons. I also love this book because Octavia Butler has this way with showing how dangerous it is to have racist ideas and to base conclusions about people based on the color of their skin or how they look, because through this we find out why Shori's family was targeted in specifically, and let me just tell you, it had a lot to do with the fact that she is a Black vampire. And I like how Octavia E. Butler just dissects this while using a fantasy element, a supernatural element to tell this whole story about how anybody and everybody can be racist, and how we have to be very careful to not let our bigotry get in the way, because we start committing acts that are so horrendous to each other, that are unforgivable. So I love this writing. I like that this was a new type of vampire. I love the fact that there are a bunch of polyamorous relationships in here. I just like Shori getting to know these new symbiotes of hers, trying to work everything out, trying to learn this new history, and the fact that she is a little badass is awesome as well. I may have mentioned this before, but I like when characters are described as petite and small, but happen to be very badass, very strong, and kick butt, because several of the women in my life who I love, who really mentored me, are very small and petite women, and I feel like people who are shorter get like, oh, you can't do this sort of vibes, especially if you're a woman. So I like when we have like characters like that that are small, and like, no, you can't just say that because I'm small, I am not gonna be able to do this. And that's just what I like to see, so I like seeing that in this book. I would recommend Octavia Butler if you are into sci-fi, your own voices sort of books, and you like seeing like the discussions wound in with supernatural sci-fi elements. She's just a really great writer, and I love how she just takes a concept and reworks it into something new, because like I don't see vampires like this. I don't see like healthy little vampire harems. Like vampire harems are not like uncommon, but this simple fact of how these ones work, of their symbiotes, of like the care that these people have for their own symbiotes, and like all of this sort of stuff is just really nice to look at, and I like seeing it. So I would highly suggest this book. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say about this other than I reread this for at least the 80th time and I loved it yet again. So there's that. If you like what you're seeing here and you want to continue seeing more, click all those bunnies down below, and goodbye, internet.